It's fascinating how when people make statements, they create entire universes inside their minds. A simple phrase can evoke so much immense, intricate reality. So think about it. When someone says, I can't do it, or I should do this, they are in fact framing their world in a very specific way, aren't they? Imagine their map, their model of reality, with these words as boundaries. Can you see how these words themselves, they begin to create the shape of their experience? What if you could just adjust those boundaries a little? Take a moment and consider this. If you ask someone, what would happen if you could? When they say, I can't, do you notice how it naturally shifts their focus? Gently nudges their awareness to explore the very thing that they believe isn't possible. It's like asking, what if there's more to the picture than you're seeing right now? And suddenly their world opens up, doesn't it? And what about the power of challenge? You might ask, what stops you? When someone says, I can't do this, isn't that question an invitation to dig deeper? It's like saying, let's see what's really behind that. What's truly holding you back? You see, by asking these questions, you're guiding the person's mind to discover their own answers. And this is where real change begins. Isn't it remarkable how, when you challenge someone's statement like that, you may realize their belief was built on invisible layers. Layers that might not even be true anymore. What if you asked, who says you can't? Or according to whom? Can you feel how it opens up a whole new space for exploration, for deeper understanding? And let's think about how people sometimes speak about their experiences. When someone says, my relationship isn't working, do you notice how they turn a complex, fluid situation into something fixed and static? It's almost like they've created a thing out of a process, something that can be measured, boxed up. This process is called nominalization. So when something fluid, like a feeling or a situation, is turned into a noun. But just for a moment, imagine you could invite someone to unpack the thing, to look deeper, to find the dynamic, shifting patterns that are within it. What do you mean by working? What's not working in your relationship? The moment you do this, you've invited them to explore the complexities they had previously simplified. That's when true insight can occur. Now let's shift our focus, because the next thing to understand is how the mind organizes thoughts. People, they use words to create relationships, but sometimes these words, they form patterns that limit their potential. You've heard it before. Someone says, I must do this. But what if they didn't have to do it? What would happen? If just for a moment, they gave themselves the permission to explore the possibility of not needing to. It's like planting a seed in their mind. And sometimes that's all it takes, a question, a simple shift in perspective, and suddenly the boundaries, they start to change. Now think of the beauty of the modal operators. They're more than just words, aren't they? They're the keys to unlocking someone's world. Words like can, should, must, might. They're markers, the signs, pointing to the very nature of the reality. What if you could? Is that not a powerful phrase? You're taking the person from what they believe is possible to what they can explore. You're opening doors that were once closed without them even realizing it. The other side of the coin is the opposite. The words that limit, I can't, I shouldn't, I must. They're like invisible walls. But once you've identified them, the power lies in guiding the person to ask, what stops you? And how do you know you can't? These questions, they get beneath the surface and they invite someone to see where those walls are, not as solid as they thought. And this then is where the real beauty unfolds. When you start to realize every sentence, every belief, it holds a map of their world. Can you imagine how, by simply adjusting a single belief, you can start to reframe the entire experience? What's incredible here is, once you understand the map, the model, the boundaries, like the modal operators or the effects of language, you realize, with just the right questions, you can help them to see new possibilities, without even needing to force change. You see, by using these words, these phrases, these questions, you're gently steering someone's mind, opening their awareness, and letting them explore new territories. What's most exciting is, in doing this, you're giving them the power to shift their own perceptions. With each challenge, With each reframe, they grow closer to understanding how much more they can do and how much more they can have. And in that moment, in that shift of consciousness, they might just see the world in a whole new way. One that isn't fixed, as they once believed. That is, in fact, far more flexible than they once imagined. Just by using questions, by shifting one word at a time, they can open up a world of possibilities they never knew existed. And isn't that the most fascinating part? That with the right words, the right questions, we can guide someone to see the world differently, to realise all those boundaries that they thought were so solid. Well, they might just be a little more porous than they thought. And all it takes is a shift, just one question, and suddenly they're free to explore a whole new world potential.